welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the latest scores and stories from around the world. Monday evening, believe it or not, the World Cup will begin next week, and these are the headlines. With just a week and a half left, World Cup warm-up are taking place. Germany cannot win their last match at home, while Belgium proves how tough it will be for anyone to beat them. Switzerland may have two tennis players among the top four, but they're both out of Roland Garros. Roger Federer loses in the round of 16 a week after Stanislas Wawrinka lost in the first round. Marc Marquez continues to dominate the world of MotoGP. Jorge Lorenzo gave him a fight, but the world champion managed to win again and keep a perfect record. And 7-foot-tall Pau Gasol is visiting Israel. The Spanish Lakers star met with Israeli President Shimon Peres and took to the court to practice with kids in Jerusalem. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. We are live from the Jaffa Port. The 32 teams that will compete in the World Cup are in the height of preparations with friendly warm-ups held around the world. In Mönchengladbach, Germany hosted Cameroon. The fans were hoping for a good show from their team in their final match at home before traveling to Brazil, but it was the visitors who will also make the trip to South America who took the first lead, Samuel Eto'o putting Cameroon on top. Only 4 minutes go by and the Mannschaft reacts. Thomas Müller heads in from Boateng's cross. It looked even better for the Germans. 20 minutes from time, it's the substitutes who do the job. Podolski finds Schorle and Germany leads, but the notorious German defense is now just a distant memory. Previous German teams were known to never concede a goal when the game approaches the end, but not this team. Cameroon scores again. 2-2 was the final score. Belgium is seen as one of the teams that could go far in the World Cup. Last night in Sweden, they showed how big their potential really is. With big names such as Eden Hazard, Vincent Kompany, and goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, among others, the Belgians look like a force to be reckoned with. Everton's Romelu Lukaku is one more star in their squad, and 11 minutes from halftime, he nailed a beautiful shot from outside the area. Belgium led at halftime. Second half, and this time it's Eden Hazard who leaves no chance for the Swedish goalkeeper. Belgium wins 2-0 and looks very good ahead of their first match in Brazil on June 17th against Algeria. They have one more warm-up match coming up this Saturday in Brussels against Tunisia. Let's cross the Atlantic to New Jersey, where the U.S. hosted Turkey. The big news surrounding the American team the last few days dealt with Landon Donovan and his exclusion from the squad. Manager Jürgen Klinsmann was hoping to put all that aside, and after 26 minutes, the questions about Donovan were gone, at least for a while. Fabian Johnson puts the U.S. on top. Second half, and it gets better. A terrible mistake by the Turkish defense allows Clint Dempsey to score the second. There was some consolation for the visitors. Just before stoppage time, Selçuk İnan scores from the spot. The United States wins the game 2-1. One team that is always interesting to look at is the Netherlands. The World Cup runners-up have big names in their squad, but they were unable to win their last 4 international friendlies before their match against Ghana in Rotterdam. 7 months without a victory were too much for the Dutch, and they took charge very early on. 5 minutes into the game, Wesley Sneijder breaks in and leaves Robbie van Persie for the final touch. Ghana is one of only 2 African nations who made it to the World Cup quarterfinals. They did it 4 years ago in South Africa, where they lost to Uruguay in a penalty shootout. But judging by their ability here, they will have a very hard task trying to repeat this. Visitors never really challenged their home team. Haaland did not score it again, but had a few chances. Louis van Gaal's side wins 1-0. They will now face Wales in Amsterdam on Wednesday. France only managed a 1-1 draw with Paraguay in Nice, despite showing good performance. But the big concern in the French team is not about those who were on the pitch last night, but about someone who was not there. Franck Ribéry was out again, and rumors in France suggest the Bayern Munich midfielder will not recuperate from his injury on time for the World Cup. Ribéry has been suffering from back problems throughout the season and has only started for the Bavarian Giants in 18 Bundesliga matches. Manager Didier Deschamps, on the other hand, said there are no changes in his plans and he intends to include Ribéry in his final 23-man squad and hopes to see him fit on time for France's final warm-up match next Sunday against Jamaica. And someone who is causing an even bigger headache for his national coach is Cristiano Ronaldo. According to Spanish media, the injury in Ronaldo's left knee has worsened due to his participation in the Champions League final. Ronaldo has not practiced with the team yet, and Portugal looked far from stellar without him in the goalless draw against Greece. Manager Paulo Bento said that he will, of course, wait until the last possible moment for Ronaldo, and he hopes to see him fit for Portugal's first match against Germany on June 16th. The party will begin next Thursday in Sao Paulo, and though there's still some work to be done, the Arena Corinthians got its final seal of approval. There were long lines at the entrances, and it was slow going for spectators coming in. Certain areas still look like a construction site, but the second and final test match took place according to plans. In the previous test match, some of the provisional stands were only partly open, as they still need to go through a weight test, but 40,000 people were still present for the game between local team Corinthians and Botafogo. The final result was 1-1, and the next match in the stadium will be the World Cup opener, Brazil against Croatia. Today was a historical day for the Palestinian Authority as the new unity government was sworn in. Hours before that, another history was celebrated in Ramallah. President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed the Palestinian national football team after their arrival from the Maldives, where they won the Asian Challenge Cup, which secured their spot in the Asian Football Championship to be held next year in Australia. It's the first international trophy won by the Palestinian team since the establishment of the National Football Association in 1928. President Abbas told the players their victory raised the head of the entire Palestinian nation. Now to tennis and to Roger Federer, who was never a big fan of the clay court. The Swiss master won 17 Grand Slams in his career, but only one was in Roland Garros back in 2009. If he plans to add a second French Open title, he will have to be back to Paris next year. The world number 4 lost in 5 sets to Latvian Ernest Golvi. This adds to the disappointment of the Swiss fans who saw Stanislas Wawrinka lose in the first round. Federer knows he should have done a lot better.
For every match you lose, you can't necessarily explain. Sometimes you're more disappointed, sometimes less. I'm not mad, but I'm not happy either, because I missed too many opportunities. I did not play like I wanted to play. What it boils down to is I lost in 5 sets. I had so many opportunities. Obviously, I don't want to try to answer questions to try and explain these mistakes. I'm going to try and think about something else, and I don't have to prepare for a match in 2 days anyway.
So the third and the fourth seeds are out, but the first two are still in. Rafael Nadal beat Dusan Lajovic earlier today. Novak Djokovic did it against local Joe Wilfried Tsonga yesterday. It was surprisingly easy for the world number 2. Tsonga did not really pose a challenge. Djokovic was in control right from the beginning and won in straight sets. 6-1, 6-4, 6-1 in just an hour and a half. His rivals in the quarterfinal will be hard-serving Canadian Milos Raonic, and Nola is expecting a very tough match.
He feels more confident on the court. You could feel that. And the recent match we had in Rome, as you mentioned, was very close. I don't expect anything different now. You know, I know that I'm going to have to face somebody that is going to serve over 200 kilometers per hour in average throughout the whole match. And but I'm ready for that.
We tend to think that triathlon is a sport made just for the super athletes, Iron men and women, but the latest triathlon held this Saturday here in Israel showed us that everybody can do it. Jonathan Salem and Daniel Roth with a story.
500 meters of swimming, 10 kilometers on bike, 2.5 kilometers running. That's the challenging course that Annette is going to complete, a young lady who's just 64 years old, an exceptional grandmother with infinite kindness and a lot of motivation. It's 5:30 in the morning. Annette is on the road on the way to the triathlon from her apartment in Tel Aviv. With her in the car are her coach and a friend who came to support her.
I feel well, with a lot of adrenaline.
In the passenger seat, her coach is feeling the same. A lot of excitement, but the road to the launch point brings back a lot of memories.
First year we started, we ran 10 kilometers, and when we reached that goal, I was saying, it's not enough. That woman can do much more. Why not try a triathlon?
She's a wonderful woman. The woman, as the coach says, can do everything. There's nothing she can't succeed in. If you saw Annette a few years ago, you would never believe that this woman who's sitting here is Annette.
The sky is full of sand and the wind is strong, but the 1,200 participants don't look like it's bothering them. They're taking some pictures, they're focusing. They're preparing their materials. Even the tandem bikes are out. For this competitor, even being 6 months pregnant isn't going to stop her from taking part in the triathlon.
This is the first time where I've got some women. She's pregnant and she's an athlete. Yeah. So this is the first time we have 3 generations here in this triathlon: daughter, mother, and the grandmother.
It's 7:15. The first competitors are on their way. The girls 7 and older are out of the water and heading for their bikes. Now it's time for the women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and later 40s plus. Annette is setting up at the starting line. For her, the swimming is the hardest part of the competition. Even with the calm waves, the distance and difficulty are extreme. Annette was the last one to finish the swimming part, but she is happy and calm.
Whoa, I'm the last one, but I did it. I did it.
She made it through the most difficult part. Everybody congratulated her, giving her high fives. On the way to the cycling part, her grandson came to cheer her on. On to the next course, Annette has to quickly prepare for the 10-kilometer ride that she will complete in just a few minutes. Taking a short break after the cycling to put on some sunscreen, Annette prepares for the running part of the triathlon. While the kilometers are racking up, we are waiting for her at the finish line. Annette made it to the end before a lot of competitors much younger than her.
It's the best ever. I did it. I absolutely did it. It's empowering and it's fantastic, and everybody came to see me.
And Annette doesn't want to stop here.
Next year, I'll do the sprint.
So mark your calendars for May 30th, 2015.
The NBA playoffs will begin this coming Thursday. Again, it will be the Heat against the Spurs. Last year, San Antonio was agonizingly close, but they lost 4-3. This time, with home court advantage, they're confident they can do it. Tim Duncan, who already has 4 championship rings, is looking forward for number 5.
We were ready last year, too. People keep talking about like we weren't close to winning it. We were ready last year. We just couldn't get over that hump. We're happy to be back here this year. We're happy to have another opportunity at it. We're happy for that it's the Heat again. We'll be ready for them. We've got some experience, obviously, from last year against them, and we'll go back and look at some film, and we've got that bad taste in our mouth still. So hopefully we'll be ready to take it this time.
One man who will not be in the finals this series, Pau Gasol, the Spanish center who came off a disappointing season with the Lakers, is in Israel these days. He met President Shimon Peres and shot some hoops with kids in Jerusalem. Mirav Savir with a story.
Over and Nash will bring it up. Nash, length to the floor.
LA Lakers players don't usually have a lot of time off this time of year, but with one of the team's worst seasons ever in the books, players are trying to enjoy their extended postseason. While some took to the sun and parties, power forward Pau Gasol arrived in Israel, where he met with Israeli President Shimon Peres and delegations of young Israelis and Arab basketball players on Sunday. The visit is the NBA star's first trip to the region. Gasol was invited to take part in a basketball workshop to promote peace between Israeli and Arab children, and says sports can help with coexistence, and he is glad he can make an impact on these young players.
I believe sports is it's an amazing tool for bringing people together. It's very, as you say, educational. No matter where you are, where you're from, what culture you're from, you can relate with someone just by playing sports. You don't need to even speak the same language.
And President Peres says he believes the All-Stars' work in sports as a whole can inspire the children.
Sport is an educative game. People learn to play without any discriminations, with a spirit of fairness, with a hope for the youngsters, and for making peace.
While at the meeting, Gasol took the opportunity to talk about his future in basketball.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't even know myself, because first in July 1st is when the whole process starts officially, and when I receive the calls and the meetings and the offers from the teams that are interested in me. And then from that point on, I can examine and analyze every offer and value what's the best fit for me.
And the Spaniard came with a little present for the president. At the end of the meeting, Gasol presented Peres with a Spanish national team jersey.
Now let's turn our attention to the Marc Marquez show. You may know it as the MotoGP circuit. The Spanish world champion won the first 5 races of the season. Number 6 was held this weekend in Italy. Marquez took off from the pole position, but he had a slow start, allowing Jorge Lorenzo to take over and lead through the first stages of the race. But the young sensation proved again is not afraid of taking risks. He took the lead with 20 laps to go. Marquez and Lorenzo battled it out. The lead changed hands, but Marquez would simply not give up on his perfect record. He crossed the finish line just 0.12 of a second ahead of Lorenzo. Another win, probably on the way to a second successive championship. And French rugby team RC Toulon and their fans celebrated yesterday after they won the French Championship on Saturday. This comes just a week after they won the H Cup, the European Championships, for the second year in a row. Last year, the team almost won the double but could not complete it with a French Cup. But this time around, players paraded the Heineken Cup and the Brennus Shield trophies on a boat in the Toulon port. The outdoor event was also a chance for the fans to bid farewell to the team's retiring fly half Johnny Wilkinson. He kicked 15 points in the team's 18-10 win over Castres. And that's it for us today. Don't forget you can watch us anytime on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.